In the early morning hours of September 9th, 1948, the sound of gunfire echoed across the crystal-clear waters surrounding Lime Cay, a small, uninhabited island off the coast of Kingston, Jamaica. When the smoke cleared, one of the most intensive manhunts in Jamaican history had come to a violent end. Vincent Ivanhoe Martin, better known as Rhygin, Jamaica's most wanted criminal, lay dead on the sandy beach, his bullet-riddled body marking the conclusion of a crime spree that had terrorized the island for months. The story of Rhygin's final capture begins 4 months earlier, on April 30th, 1948, when the 24-year-old career criminal made a daring escape from the General Penitentiary in Kingston. Born Vincent Martin in Linstead, St. Catherine, this small-statured man with an effeminate voice had compensated for his physical limitations by building a fearsome reputation for extreme violence throughout his teenage years. After his prison break, Rhygin remained underground for several months, but by late summer 1948, his name would become synonymous with terror in Kingston's streets. His criminal spree reached its peak during 6 weeks of mayhem that would earn him the nickname the Two-Gun Killer and cement his place in Jamaican folklore. The beginning of the end for Rhygin came on August 31st, 1948, during a dramatic shootout at the Carib Hotel on Regent Street in Hannahtown. Acting on a tip, detectives from the Criminal Investigation Department had cornered the outlaw in a hotel room where he was staying with a female companion. What happened next would shock even hardened police officers. Dressed only in his underpants, Rhygin burst from the room with guns blazing, taking on multiple officers in a running gun battle that witnesses described as reminiscent of Chicago gangster days. When the smoke cleared, Detective Corporal Edgar Lewis lay dying, while Detective H.E. Earle and ex-Sergeant Gallimore were wounded. Despite being shot himself, Rhygin managed to escape into the night. The killing of Detective Corporal Lewis sent shockwaves through Jamaica's law enforcement community and prompted Alexander Bustamante, the head of state and national hero, to personally attend the fallen officer's funeral as a pallbearer. The authorities immediately cancelled all police leave and posted a £200 reward for Rhygin's capture, dead or alive. Rather than laying low after the hotel shootout, Rhygin seemed to relish his newfound notoriety. In an act of brazen defiance, he wrote an open letter to Detective Sergeant Scott, one of the officers leading the manhunt. Published in the Jamaica Times, the letter read, "I have an arsenal of 29 shots, and I'm satisfied that I have made history for the criminal element in Jamaica. Don't think that I'm going to kill myself, because this will only serve to spoil my great record. But I hope that Detective Scott will train his men some more. I'm going to show the police force what is lacking and what I can do." The taunting message only intensified the manhunt, but Rhygin wasn't finished. Days later, seeking revenge against Eric Mosspan Goldson, whom he believed had informed on him, Rhygin tracked down Goldson's girlfriend, Lucille Tibby Young. When she couldn't or wouldn't reveal Goldson's whereabouts, Rhygin shot her dead. He also wounded 2 other women in the room, Estella Brown and Iris Bailey. The cold-blooded murder of Young marked a turning point in public perception, even among those who had initially viewed Rhygin as a folk hero standing up to colonial authority. As the manhunt intensified, Rhygin continued his reign of terror. He shot and killed 48-year-old higgler Jonathan Thomas in front of the man's terrified wife as they walked along Waltham Park Road. He attempted to kill another man, Selvin Maxwell, but Maxwell managed to wrestle the gun away, forcing Rhygin to steal Maxwell's car to escape. The outlaw also committed several robberies, possibly to fund a planned escape from Jamaica. He was suspected of robbing the White Horses Inn at Mary Brown's Corner and a store near Rousseau Road. Throughout this period, he continued sending taunting messages to the press and even posed for a photograph holding 2 guns, an image that would become iconic in Jamaican criminal law. Despite his bravado, the net was closing around Rhygin. Tips from the public, motivated by the substantial reward money, led police to several hideouts. At one point, a large contingent of officers raided his lair in Marshland near his childhood home in St. Catherine, but he escaped when a sentry posted in a tree spotted the approaching police and alerted him. With law enforcement closing in from all sides, Rhygin made one last desperate play for freedom. He arranged with 2 fishermen from the Greenwich Town fishing beach to transport him to Lime Cay, a small, uninhabited island several miles from Port Royal. Police believed he was planning to use the cay as a staging point for a boat that would take him to Cuba or another safe haven. But once again, the authorities were tipped off to his location. As dawn broke on September 9, 1948, a heavily armed police contingent quietly surrounded the tiny island where Jamaica's most wanted man had taken refuge. What followed was Rhygin's final stand, a desperate hour-long gun battle that would end with his death on the white sandy beach of Lime Cay. Cornered at last with nowhere to run, the man who had boasted he would never be taken alive fought like a rat in a trap, as one newspaper account described it. When the shooting stopped, Vincent Ivanhoe Martin lay dead, struck by 5 bullets to the head and several more throughout his body. He was 24 years old. The greatest manhunt in modern Jamaican history was over. News of Rhygin's death spread like wildfire throughout Kingston. Thousands of people lined the route from the waterfront to the city morgue, eager to catch a glimpse of the notorious outlaw's body. For nearly 3 hours before the body arrived, crowds gathered along Producers Road, testament to the strange fascination Rhygin had generated among Jamaica's poor and marginalized. Despite his violent crimes, Rhygin had become a folk hero to many of Kingston's impoverished residents. In an era when black Jamaicans lived under harsh colonial rule and grinding poverty, this small man who had defied authority and seemingly appeared and disappeared at will represented a form of resistance, however misguided. His body was eventually buried in a pauper's grave, but his legend was just beginning. Within years of his death, Jamaican comedians Bim and Bam created a drama called Rhygin's Ghost. Prince Buster recorded a song about him, and Louise Bennett Coverley wrote a poem titled Dead Man that captured the complex emotions surrounding his death. The ultimate testament to Rhygin's enduring impact came in 1972 with the release of The Harder They Come, Jamaica's first feature film. Starring Jimmy Cliff as a character based on Rhygin, renamed Ivan Martin, the movie transformed the violent criminal into a more sympathetic figure, a reggae singer victimized by corruption who turns to crime as a last resort. The film not only made Jimmy Cliff an international star, but also introduced reggae music to the world and established Jamaica's place in cinema history. Director Perry Hensel, who had lived at Caymanas Estates as a teenager and followed newspaper reports of Rhygin's exploits, created a work that would ensure the outlaw's story lived on for generations. Today, Lime Cay remains a popular destination for day trippers from Kingston, its pristine beaches and clear waters attracting snorkelers and sunseekers. Few visitors realize they're walking on ground that witnessed one of the most dramatic moments in Jamaican criminal history. The story of Vincent Rhygin Martin serves as a complex chapter in Jamaica's past, a tale of colonial-era poverty, resistance, violence, and the thin line between outlaw and folk hero. His death at Lime Cay marked not just the end of a criminal's life, but the birth of a legend that continues to resonate in Jamaican culture more than 75 years later. In the end, Rhygin got his wish. He was never taken alive, but perhaps even he couldn't have imagined that his violent end on a small Caribbean island would ensure his name lived on in the annals of Jamaican history, forever linking the crystal waters of Lime Cay with one of the island's most notorious sons.